So, in other news, the president of the United States is in hot water over everything that's happening in Puerto Rico. So there's been a bit of a controversy over whether what's happening in Puerto Rico is really Trump administration failure or if it's the media blowing it out of proportion. This is one of the problems with the country where we've all lost trust, right? The media, we feel, is a partisan hit factory, and that's exactly right. On the other hand, we look at the Trump administration. We can't say we trust these people to tell us the truth about what's going on in Puerto Rico. After all, they have a stake in the game, the same way that any administration would have a stake in the game. So I'm going to give you some information. I'm not an expert about hurricane preparedness or hurricane cleanup or disaster relief. I'm not an expert on this. I assume you're not either. So I'm going to allow a couple of different experts to talk about this because I think that it's important to get the most objective view that we can, because all that I'm hearing from one side is that Trump is Hitler and he's not doing the right thing. He's letting people starve because they're brown and all this. And on the other side, that Trump is the greatest relief president that ever lived and everything that he's done is pitch perfect, and all of this is an unfair hit job. So here is an article from Bloomberg.com, courtesy of a guy named Tobin Harshaw, and he interviewed a retired Navy captain named Jimi Hendrix. So Jimi Hendrix is Jerry Hendrix, not the guitarist. He's a senior fellow with the Center for New American Security, and he served for decades both on the high seas and in high-level staff jobs, including with the Chief of Naval Operations Executive Panel and the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy's Irregular Warfare Quadrennial Defense Review. He has degrees from Purdue, Harvard, the Naval Postgrad School, and a PhD from King's College in London. And here's what he said. What he suggested is that the Trump administration is actually doing a pretty good job. He says he doesn't think the criticism has been fair. He says there's a fair amount of anticipatory action that is not being recognized. Amphibious ships, including the light amphibious carriers Kearsarge and Wasp, and the amphibious landing ship Doc Oak Hill, were at sea and dispatched to Puerto Rico ahead of the hurricane's impact. These are large ships that have large flight decks to land and dispatch heavy-lift CH-53 helicopters to and from disaster sites. They also have big well decks, exposed surfaces that are lower than the fore and aft of the ship, from which large landing craft can be dispatched to shore carrying over 150 tons of water, food, and supplies on each trip. You're seeing a lot of rumors online about problems distributing the supplies throughout the country because of unionized truck businesses or impassability of the roads. That has nothing to do with Trump. These are actually the ideal platforms, he says, for relief operations owing to their range of assets. The ships, due to their designs to support marine amphibious landings in war zones, also have hospitals aboard. And he says that there is a broad misunderstanding of the USS Comfort's mission. This is a hospital ship that was sent. It was kind of held up and then sent later. She is not an emergency response ship, but a hospital ship. She was built to accompany a large military force into war zones. And says it's revelatory of where the U.S. group mind is now that when the American public thinks about the ships like Comfort and Mercy, they automatically think of them as part of a civilian emergency response force rather than quietly considering the type of potential conflict that require a hospital ship with 1,000 beds. I can tell you when I think of these ships, I internally shudder at the thought of the type of conflict they were intended to support. He says that basically there are ways that the Trump administration could be doing better, but they're not doing badly at all. So that's one perspective. The other perspective is coming courtesy of the Washington Post. So the Washington Post suggests that the Trump administration has not sent enough people. They compare the U.S. response to Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico with the U.S. response under George W. Bush, under Barack Obama of the Haitian earthquake in January 2010. So a couple of differences. The Haitian earthquake in January 2010 ended up killing something like 100,000 people. Like literally hundreds of thousands of people died. We don't have a body count on Puerto Rico, so we don't know how bad the damage is in comparison to Haiti. But here's what they say. They say 8 days after Hurricane Maria ripped across neighboring Puerto Rico, just 4,400 service members were participating in federal operations to assist the devastated island, an Army general told reporters on Thursday. In addition, about 1,000 Coast Guard members were aiding the efforts. 40 U.S. military helicopters were helping deliver food and water to 3.4 million residents of the U.S. territory, along with 10 Coast Guard helicopters. And then there are a bunch of people who helped out in Haiti who said that they are not happy with the level of support. They say within 2 days of Haiti's earthquake, the Pentagon had 8,000 American troops en route. Within 2 weeks, 33 military ships and 22,000 troops had arrived. More than 300 military helicopters buzzed overhead, delivering millions of pounds of food and water. So they're suggesting that basically this is a fraction of what was done with Haiti. Again, I don't have the expertise, so I'm just going to present you with the facts without making a hard and fast judgment. Suffice it to say, I'm seeing credible people on both sides of the aisle, some saying that all of this is basically going as planned, and some people saying that this is obviously not sufficient. So before you start believing all the rumors that everything is a disaster area, I don't think I don't think all the information is on one side. Here's a video that's been released from the U.S. Coast Guard showing what the Coast Guard is doing to try and do cleanup in Puerto Rico. And this is Ismael Rosado of the U.S. Coast Guard Special Agent.
Expected some damage, but not to the extent that we experienced yesterday, that we witnessed yesterday. It was people lost everything in their houses. They everything. They just, the only thing they had it seems like whatever they were wearing, that was left.
Looking at the homes and seeing where the water line was pretty much chest level for me, it was definitely a challenge to keep it together.
When we started distributing the supplies throughout the community, I was sad. I was sad looking at the conditions that.
So, I mean, obviously you can see that there is work that's being done on the ground, and you wouldn't see a lot of these videos except for the fact that a lot of these branches of the military actually have their own PR wings. This has been contrasted with San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz. So she is a very, very left-wing mayor of San Juan. She apparently has supported particular terrorist groups in the past that are left-wing in terms of her rhetoric. And she went on national TV to rip President Trump, and of course the media ate it up.
Well, maybe from where she's standing, it's a good news story. When you're drinking from a creek, it's not a good news story. When you don't have food for a baby, it's not a good news story. When you have to pull people down from their buildings, because I'm sorry, but that really upsets me and frustrates me. You know, I would ask her to come down here and visit the towns, and then make a statement like that, which frankly, it is an irresponsible statement, and it contrasts with the statements of support that I have been getting since yesterday when I got that call from the White House. This is, damn it, this is not a good news story. This is a people are dying story. This is a life or death story. There's a truckload of stuff that cannot be taken to people's story.
Okay, so the media, of course, eats this up and suggests that she is exactly right. This is going to be Trump's Katrina, and the media's alacrity to cover this thing, and their apparent unwillingness to talk to other people on the ground is quite striking here. There's some problems with this particular mayor, who seems like she has a lot of time for TV and not as much time to actually do the things she's supposed to do. So she admitted in a press conference that she had not met with the Federal Emergency Management Agency. She was invited to do so, and she didn't even bother to do it.
Will you meet with people from my administration? People from my administration have been to the COI. Yes.
But she has not, apparently. So while she's ripping Trump up and down, she has not visited the FEMA headquarters. She was also apparently wearing, at one point she had a shirt made up that said, "Help us, we are dying." So she had time to make a custom T-shirt that she could wear on TV. But her management of the crisis has not been great, to say the least. There's always this sort of blame game that goes on, by the way, between local authorities and the federal authorities. You remember after Katrina, Mayor Ray Nagin, who was largely responsible for the tragedy in New Orleans, who had told people to stay in town, made it a voluntary evacuation instead of a mandatory evacuation. He blamed the federal government. The media ate that up. The governor, Kathleen Blanco, she blamed the feds. And, of course, the media ate that up. It was funny, when all the locals were saying that Obama wasn't doing enough during the Louisiana flooding a few years ago, then the media wasn't quite so they weren't hustling quite so much to get those people on TV. And I'm going to show you, the media has been granting a lot of credibility to this San Juan mayor, who apparently is not doing the world's greatest job. But here is the Puerto Rico governor saying the feds are answering our calls, like we want more stuff, but they're doing what they can do.
You know, there was a good article that aired this morning in the Washington Examiner.
This is the FEMA chief.
Mayor
It's okay. We can play the FEMA chief. That's fine. Brock Long from FEMA.
Otero out of Guaynabo, if I'm not pronouncing that correct, is basically saying, look, there's been excellent communication with not only the governor, but also FEMA and the way that we're trying to tackle this. You know, we can choose to look at what the mayor spouts off or what other people spout off, but we can also choose to see what's actually being done. And that's what I would ask.
The Puerto Rican governor has also said that the feds are answering. So Trump responds to all of this, and he's very angry. And you can see why he's mad, because the media, of course, have jumped on this with both feet. So, for example, Saturday Night Live called Trump a cheap cracker. Really, this is what they said, because Trump responded to the San Jose mayor by insulting the San Juan mayor because he insulted the San Juan mayor. Why don't we do his response first? So here are his tweets about the San Juan mayor. So he responded to the San Juan mayor by saying, "The mayor of San Juan, who was very complimentary only a few days ago, has now been told by the Democrats that you must be nasty to Trump." Okay, again, I think that the president of the United States has the right to say, the mayor of San Juan, I understand why she's emotional, but she's incorrect about the way that we're treating this. We're treating this with the highest level of seriousness, which is why all of the experts say that we're doing what we can do. It's why the governor says this. It's why the other mayors say this. Instead, to go after her and say she's been nasty to Trump, he's making it more personal even than it was. That's not the way to unify or to move above the debate. Do I blame him for this? This is Trump. I mean, what would you expect? He feels like he was maligned, and he's going to hit back against that. And I don't think that he's completely wrong to do so. He continues along these lines, and he tweets, such poor leadership ability by the mayor of San Juan and others in Puerto Rico who are not able to get their workers to help. Again, here is where he starts to veer off. So as always, Trump starts from a point that is 80% correct, and he moves into points that are now 10% correct. Right? Who are these others in Puerto Rico who are not able to get their workers to help? Can he call them out? Can we know? Or why is he, like, if we're going to play the blame game now, let's find out who specifically is impeding the progress here. Don't just put it on the people in Puerto Rico. And then he continues along these lines. He says they want everything to be done for them when it should be a community effort. 10,000 federal workers now on island doing a fantastic job. Okay, again, who are these people who want everything to be done for them now? It sounds like he's accusing all of these people of laziness. Like, what is the point of this? What is the point of this? He could just say, the San Juan mayor is wrong. I'm insulted by the implication that I'm not taking this seriously. Of course I am. Maybe she's politically motivated to say this stuff because I see no other reason for her to say this other than political motivation, right? That I think would find 90% appropriate. Him going after all of the people of Puerto Rico, apparently, or a large swath of the people of Puerto Rico, that seems, and saying that they want everything done for them. You know, that, again, if you're not going to name names, then this is just bad policy. But he's very angry at the media because the media used this as an opportunity to slam Trump himself. So here's Bernie Sanders talking about how it is unspeakable to attack the mayor of a city that has been underwater.
Speaking from his fancy golf club, playing golf with his billionaire friends, attacking the mayor of San Juan, who is struggling to bring electricity to the island, food to the island, water to the island, gas to the island. That is just, it is unspeakable. And I don't know what world Trump is living in.
Okay, so I like that it's unspeakable for Trump to say the mayor's not doing her job, but it's not unspeakable for the mayor to say Trump's not doing his job. That much I don't blame on Trump. I do blame Trump for going beyond that and starting to rip, broad swaths of the Puerto Rican public or governing structure. I also blame Trump for this. This image is just not smart. If Obama did this, we'd be ripping him up and down. If Obama had gone out and played golf in the middle of a hurricane relief effort and then dedicated the golf tournament to the victims of the hurricane relief, I have a feeling that everybody would have been on his case, and I think rightly so. It's just an image. Okay, so apparently he got up. And he actually, so if you can't see the image, it's him at this golf tournament. And here is what he said. He said, on behalf of all of the people in Texas and all of the people if you look today and you see what's happening, how horrible it is, but we really have it under great control. Puerto Rico and the people of Florida who have suffered over this last short period of time with the hurricanes, I want to just remember them. And we're going to dedicate this trophy to all of those people that went through so much that we love, a part of our great state, really a part of our great nation. He says, I'll tell you what, I've been watching this thing from the beginning, and I have to say, our Team USA, wow, did you play well? I can guarantee you the people in Puerto Rico do not give two craps about this golfing event. Okay, and I don't think victims in Texas or Florida are deeply honored by the president presenting the president's cup to the victims of a hurricane. Like, unless it actually has potable water in it, I have a feeling they're not super interested in it. So that's just bad politics. Trump, better than anybody, should know about the imagery here, and it's really dumb. Does that justify the media's response? No. The media's response is super over the top. So here's SNL yesterday ripping into President Trump, calling him a cheap cracker.
It's hurricane relief. These people need help. You just did this for white people twice. Do the same thing. Go tell Melania to put on her flood heels, get some bottled water, some food, pack up some extra Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl T-shirts, and write them a check with our money, you cheap cracker.
Okay, so first of all, calling the president a cheap cracker, imagine if somebody had said something similarly inflammatory about Barack Obama referring to him by race. Would that be okay? And by the way, it's an easy comedic technique to use shocking words and then expect people to laugh, but it's really kind of gross. So no wonder Trump is mad, and Trump has a right to be mad. Again, there's not a lot of evidence, or at least there's mixed evidence, that this Puerto Rican effort is being handled badly. And to suggest that he is a quote-unquote cheap cracker is pretty incredible, and Trump has every right to be upset about all of that.